Everywhere I go, everywhere I travel, I see people. The whole planet is full of them. Some walk alone, some with a companion, and others go about in groups. Human beings is the name they go by, and they sure love to live huddled together in big, sprawling cities. They all seem very busy doing this and that, and getting on with their lives. Yep, the people of the world tend to look very productive and in charge. If I went and talked to any of them, if I went and interviewed people and asked each of them whether they think they're in charge of their own destinies, I wonder what kind of answers I'd get. Most of them would confidently say, sure, I'm in charge of my own life path. And what about me? Am I really in charge of my own destiny? Do I know where I've come from, why I'm here, and where I'm going? After all, some people would say that just by using this credit card, I'm a virtual serf to powerful men who profit from my existence. Some have said we're all veritable slaves in an invisible penitentiary. If that's the case, then none of us are in charge of our lives. We only think we are, and that's kind of frightening. Maybe that invisible prison does exist. Maybe I can't see it because I've been trained not to be able to see it. Can that situation never change? After all, I sure don't like to think of myself as being on someone else's chain. I think it's time to investigate these matters. When in doubt, find out. That's the key. There are those who've looked into these matters long before my time. What did they have to say? That's what I'd like to know. So it says here, there's an interesting caption that says, "Here stands the new man. His conception of reality is a dance of electronic images fired into his forebrain, a gossamer construction of his masters designed so that he will not under any circumstances perceive the actual or the real. His happiness is delivered to him through a tube or an electronic connection. His God lurks behind an electronic curtain. And when the curtain is pulled away, we find the CIA sorcerer and the media manipulator. Jim Keith, Mind Control, Mass Control, just one of the fine books on, the manipulation of consciousness that he did before he sadly basically was killed. He was one of the people, I think, one of few who understood that the real war is a war on consciousness. It's very important to always remember that it may have so many other permutations. Now we're seeing it's mass killings in America or what have you. But and then all heads turn. As soon as that comes on the little media framed image, then people are shocked. And they turn to that as if it's some sort of freak phenomena or something like that. It's actually, the sad case is it's not freak. And anyone who's really studied mind control understands that mind control is ubiquitous. It's almost the question of who is not mind controlled, as opposed to who is mind controlled. It's just a difference in degree. The whole question of what is consciousness and how it can be manipulated is one of the most crucial questions of our time. In my work, it really goes along with the whole question of the origins of evil. I mean, it's origins of evil / war on consciousness, and the whole manipulation of man's thinking, his behavior, his biology. And this question has distinguished some of the greatest scholars in the world, people like Wilhelm Reich. But in a more modern context, even people like Alex Constantine, Jim Keefe, Jim Marrs to a certain extent has gone into this.
Well, in ancient times they used the sword and they used the gun and they used other methods like religion for pushing the populace around and getting people to do what was wanted. But in recent times, in the 20th century, there are new technologies that provide the expertise to control people totally without their knowledge. Means of electronic entrainment, brain control implants, methods of advertising that manipulate us against our will. And this isn't science fiction, this is something that's very documented. The Manchurian Candidate, of course, was about the creation of a mind-controlled assassin who, as I recollect, it's been years since I've seen the film, was going to be activated to kill the president. Now, this is wild science fiction, crazy impossibility, it just complete nuttiness. But then one takes into consideration the realization that Sirhan, for instance, after he killed Robert F. Kennedy, was examined by several experts, several hypnotherapists, and they came to the conclusion that Sirhan was under hypnotic control when he killed Kennedy. They don't make a big deal out of that on 60 Minutes, but that just happens to be the fact.
There's been others who've theorized, Fritz Springmeier has done some fantastic work on the manipulation of the human brain through technotronic means. What am I saying? It's weaponry, psychic weaponry, radiotronic weaponry that's being used, ELF waves, all sorts of different technologies that are patented. People can go and find out about it, research it, discover it. If you're coming from the world of Ted Gunderson and John DeCamp, we even find out that families who are connected to secret agencies or maybe have been communist spies or who've been part of the Nazi network who have found homes in America, people who are connected to Operation Paperclip and to the NSA, there's histories of them selling their own children into, mind control experiments. Amazingly, people in the military. This is a documented, known fact. Just unbelievable to think of it, But the most important thing is always to remember that there is this kind of war going on, even though, you may not realize it. And also to realize that there's also the cover-up campaign against mind control. The people who are perpetrating this, who are putting these sleepers out there, who are planning assassinations, who are behind, Sirhan, all the way up through Son of Sam and Mark Hinckley, David Chapman. The list is endless, when you start thinking about it. Jim Jones, this has all been exposed as sort of mind control based cults. But the fact is they don't want the average person realizing this. They don't want, so there's the mind control concept or experimentation, and then there's the smokescreen as well. So you're dealing with two different things here. You're dealing with the fact itself, which is a very interesting study, but then you have all the rebuttal and the general ubiquitous consensus that, oh no, there's no such thing at all. It's the lone gunman. It's the lone nut, or disgruntled teens. When it comes to Columbine and some of these others, just teens gone out of control. Okay, teens going out of control is one thing. Teens with automatic weapons that you can only find from, government agencies and military camps is another. And you track back and you find out the history of these people being connected to some of these orgs and institutions and military establishments. David Berkowitz has revealed a great deal from prison about that and the elaborate Luciferian satanic networks that work with mind control on all its levels, and tying into the military establishment. This has been thoroughly documented.
In 1993, announced that the entire spree was engineered by a satanic cult, and others had participated in the plot.
Of course, everyone had played a role as far as the chanting and the praying. Everyone had a role in that, and understanding that, this was going to be another sacrifice to our gods, bunch of scumbags that they were, our gods, Lucifer and his crew, and we said, yeah, this is going to be another one for you, what I said.
certainly recommend Maury Terry's Ultimate Evil, in which Berkowitz reveals the whole level of operations, government black ops, and mind control behind the Son of Sam, behind the Son of Sam killings. You know, that ties into people also blowing the whistle like Stanley Kubrick. You know, he making movies, trying to reveal some of this stuff, and then, you know, he suddenly mysteriously dies. You know, so there's a lot of. But anyone who's really studied this subject for a long time knows that it's not modern. It doesn't just date from the period of you know, the discovery of America or whatever. You know, you